Yo guys, what's going on? I know this has been a highly anticipated video for a lot of you guys on how to stop and go in Madden 19. I'm actually in Madden 18 right now because I really think a lot of habits that you would do in Madden 18 are really bad habits actually to do in Madden 19. And I really think I needed to start this video off addressing the basics of the stop and go last year and how vastly different it is this year. As many of you guys know, like the stop and go was mastered by True Boy, and it's always going to be like remembered as the True Boy stick. I'm just happy I was able to, find a way to manipulate the computer in a way that he definitely would be able to. Also, so I'm just going to show you guys right here about the stop and go in Madden 18 and like how vastly different it is compared to 19. There's going to be timestamps in this video, so there's going to be like the first part of this video, of course, is like the first 5-ish minutes going over the just the Madden 18 stop and go and how vastly different it is and the bad habits you want to not get rid of. Because I know, like, watching some videos I've seen of people play, of how people use one cut, you really don't want to do this year. And then the second part of the video is going to be understanding all the skill moves that you can do. It's really going to be fairly basic, the beginning part of the video. The next part is what I'm going to consider like the simpler stop and go, like the basics of it. The simpler stop and go, the reason why I consider it personally more simpler than the stop and go I personally like to use is you can't really manipulate the computer with it. So I'll get to that point eventually in this video about manipulation of the computer and why I think my stop and go is the best because it manipulates the computer to other things. But the stop and go I'm going to show you guys, it's a great stop and go to do against a user defender, but it really only works in one-on-one situations. My stop and go, I truly feel like I can get out of any situation at any time. Yes, it comes back to haunt me, like I do too many things, I try to get too cute, little things like that, but more often than not, I can get sticky with it, manipulate the computer while there's a CPU defender there, and get away from it. But then the last part of this video, so as many of you guys probably know, I actually made a highlight video of my stop and goes. Those stop and goes are actually from not that long ago. Just from within the last month. I was preparing for Seahawks Club, so I didn't want to record any of my gameplay or anything, just worried about players possibly lurking me. But I'm gonna get into the Madden 18 part right now and how you would stop and go in that. There's 4 things I want to talk about stop and goes in Madden 18 and how you do not want to do it in Madden 19, because I see a lot of people when you send me clips, etc., etc. You don't. They're doing things back from Madden 18 that you do not want to be doing in Madden 19. So the very first thing is, in Madden 19, you would literally just hold down turbo this entire time, right? So I'm just holding down turbo, swerving back and forth like this because it's honestly just how the game played. There was no reason not to hold turbo and like sort of like lollygag behind the line like a Le'Veon Bell would, like this. There would really be no point to it because the CPU wouldn't slow down with you. They would keep their same speed. And that's a big thing in Madden 19 that I do, is I rarely press turbo. For example, I would like go slow throughout most of this, but once I'm in the open field, now I would hold turbo. But in Madden 18, you would always want to hold turbo just because of that's how it was. The next part I want to talk about is how players would immediately deaccelerate. This is a huge thing because when I talk about the stop and go in Madden 19, the deacceleration part is such a key aspect to understanding how to fully utilize real player motion. So for example, if I'm running full speed here, I'm going to stop right on this X. I would literally stop right here. Now in Madden 19, it's completely different than that. You would actually continue running for about the next 4 to 5 yards depending on the player you're using. The next big thing that for Madden 18 that I saw really bad habits of people doing was not bad habits but just things you could do, is you could literally re-accelerate from any position that you wanted, like this. Just however you wanted, you could re-accelerate. And another big thing about Madden 18 was there wasn't the one-cut feature. The one-cut feature, I personally love the one-cut feature. I think it's a great thing that they've added to the game. I hope it sticks around for the upcoming Maddens. But because of that, people really don't understand the utilization of one cut, I think, to the fullest of its ability. And I really want to show you guys how to actually fully utilize one cut and like when you do stop and go. The last thing I want to talk about this, and this is really huge, this is probably the biggest difference, is that, so obviously you see the running motion of Le'Veon Bell, right? Every single player had the same running motion in Madden 18 to Madden 19. Every single player had the same running motion. So I'm gonna Alright, so I'm gonna pitch the ball to one of my offensive linemen here, and I'm gonna show you how each player had the same running motion. So as you can see, Le'Veon Bell's running motion, it's just that. And then if we go to, let's say, my offensive lineman here, I'll pitch the ball to him there to show you that he actually has the exact same running motion. The only difference is that he's bigger. That's like the only difference. It's the exact same thing. There you go. It's the exact same running motion. Just as I said, he's a bit bigger to do it. But the stop and go with an offensive lineman compared to a Le'Veon Bell type of a thing is the exact same. So let me do a Madden 18 stop and go for you. I'll stop on the X and then just reaccelerate like that. Every single player could do that in Madden 18 because every single player had the same running motion. For example, if I pitch the ball to, there you go, Villanueva, I'll stop on this X again and then reaccelerate. Every single player could do this. And it's just the way Madden 18 worked and how there wasn't really running physics in the game, I would say. And if there were running physics, it was a very lackluster running physics, honestly. Madden 19 has truly updated. 19 has truly upgraded, I think, running motion and real player motion. I think it's actually realistic to NFL types of things. The basics of it, of course, I found a way to manipulate it that is considered pretty glitchy. But that's just Madden 18, and I wanted to just show you those habits on how like the stop and go was done last year and those little things like that and how vastly different it is this year. So I'll be going to Madden 19 right now to show you the stop and go in Madden 19. So I just finished breaking down how to do the stop and go in Madden 18, at least the very basics of it. It was really simple to do with any player, any position, any like body angle, little things like this. This year is so vastly different though, and I'm gonna start off with actually the players that. And then you see, okay, so you see my share and manage files actually. So if you load my files, you can see my roster files that I have. The reason why I have so many offensive files is whenever I make a new team, whatever it is, most of the players, I actually have to relearn how to use them to their full ability. So as you guys can see, I have a couple of rosters here. I actually deleted quite a few rosters from the beginning of the year, just for the pure fact I was worried about somebody figuring out the team I was using, because I would have the identical team and I would recreate their team my team so I could use them in practice mode. So I deleted most of it, but you guys can see. So here's a clip. It's called Robbie Sticky. Robbie Anderson was a player that I was actually personally like really struggling to get down like the real player motion with him. So I ended up deciding like just to go into practice mode with him to get it done. So for the tips vid I have right here. So this is my current roster that I'm using for salary cap. And then I can show you guys the roster. And I really want to break down actually the players' physiques and actually how it's so important to understanding real player motion, because real player motion is actually exactly what it sounds like. It's real player motion. It's like their actual movements for specific players. Each player has their own real player motion to an extent. You know, like a lot of players like have very identical real player motion type of thing, like very similar body shapes, very similar builds, very similar physiques, that type of a thing. So as you can see, if you go to my team here, I chose the Jets, just it was easiest. So I have Julio Jones. True. Alright, so this is another thing I want to talk about. A lot of you guys probably have like legends on your team. You can create legends and like the create your own player type of a thing and edit a player to it. The reason why I personally don't do that, and I just use somebody nearly identical, as I like to call it. So Lamar Jackson, of course, is my quarterback. The reason why I don't do it is for this reason right here, appearance. So this is actually so huge. Every one of these players, their chest size, belly size, arm definition, rear size, thigh size, calf size, it all factors into the real player motion. So I don't actually know like the stats of like a Michael Vick per se, of like how he lines up here, like what his chest size, belly size, because it's not something like in franchise, because they don't have legends type of a thing. And that really does affect the real player motion type of a thing. But yeah, so I just use Lamar Jackson as my Vic clone. I have Fournette. What I actually do, so when I have Fournette, his stats are identical to the one I use when it comes to like his physical traits. And the reason behind that is each player has like their own body physiques and body types type of a thing. But of course, like the speed of your player like does affect like the stop and goes and the ability you can do stop and goes at, little things like that. So I do have like the identical physical stats. You know, I don't change like the catching stats, etc., etc. But the physical stats I want to make sure are identical, just so when I am using them in practice mode, I know when I go into a real game, it's going to be the exact same field type of a thing. Alright, so I know a lot of you guys are probably not necessarily going to want to change your players' physiques and stuff like that and then create a roster. That is time consuming, I won't lie. It does take me a little bit of time to do that. So if you're just going to go into practice mode and practice with any player, the two players I'll recommend to you guys to practice with is the first player is Todd Gurley. So Todd Gurley has quite a similar physique to a lot of the players in the game. So it's super easy to get sticky with Todd Gurley, I think personally. He's actually personally the first player I ever tried to doing this with. And I found it super easy to do with him. You know, his running motion is super smooth. He really feels like one of the best cards to get sticky with. And then the other player I would recommend is actually Le'Veon Bell. I think Le'Veon Bell is another type of a player. He's just super easy to control. He's super smooth when you're running with him. A super smooth player motion type of a thing. And now, so let's say you guys like do actually want to practice with your actual players, but let's say you guys have legends and stuff like that. My recommendation to you, just go to Madden Legends. Of course, you can't have like your entire team. But you can have like specific little players, like you can have the Randys, the Terrell Owens, the Tomlinsons, the Vicks, the Youngs, all that type of stuff. So let's say you have a ton of legends on your team, just go to the legends practice mode, and then you can actually do it with them. I'm personally not going to do that, just because I don't really find a point in doing it with them. Alright guys, so what I recommend doing for this is putting it into practice type, and then you go here, and then you go to offense only, and when you respot the ball, make sure it's on the 20-yard line. It'll make sense as I go on in this video. That little X on the 35-yard line I like to use as a good marker. Alright guys, so the first part of this is actually just going to be breaking down the skill moves. Just like the basics of it. So what Y does, B, X, and A, and how they're effective when you're holding both triggers down. So when you throw it to Roberts here, so this is just a spin move without doing anything. This is a spin move holding both triggers down. This is a spin move only holding left stick down. So there's three different types of spin moves you can do. I'm going to be honest, if you guys want something, typically when I catch the ball, I will spin. Lamar Jackson's going to have quite a few overthrows, and it's going to be kind of frustrating. But when I spin, I like to do this spin right after I catch the ball, because I have personally found it to decrease my chances of dropping the ball. I know a lot of people like to just do the regular like precision both trigger spin. I personally like doing that spin more than anything else right when I catch the ball, because it makes it typically harder to hit stick than anything else I find, just because the timing, like the way you plant your foot, it takes that like slight extra second. Of course, you guys know what X does. You know, X is just, if I tap X, I'm just going to dive type of a thing. If I hit Y, I'm just going to hurdle. But if you guys, okay, so this is my personal like favorite thing to do as a celebration. So if you come to kind of a stop, hold both triggers, and then Y, you do like a funny little hurdle thing. That's what I like to do if I know I'm going to score a touchdown. But I want to also break down the right joystick and actually how you can spin with that, because I feel like this is actually something people don't do enough that I really feel like people should do more of. So for example, I'm with here's Roberts here. So I'm just at full speed. There's a juke that way, right? There's a juke that way. There's a double juke right there, type of a thing. But if you actually, with your right joystick, do a full 180, you'll get a slower spin move type of a thing. So here you go. Roberts, full 180, so go to your left and then down and around is what you want to do. So go to left, down, and around. Of course, it's not like the smooth spin move like that. Like a lot of people I know like that. But the reason why I'm showing you guys this is you guys can actually like get pretty advanced with this. For example, if I have Roberts here to Roberts, I'm going to go this way, and then spin. And if you do that super fast, like that. It's just a different juke move, so I personally don't use this juke move because I just like what I have found better. But this is a way you can do a sort of glitchy like double juke into a spin move type of a thing. I'll show you guys one more time. So it's, what I'm going to do is right stick. With my right stick, I'm going to take it to the right at a 90-degree angle, back to the left, and then a 180 down and around. For example, boom, 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 like that. It's just another way that it's just a juke move that I wanted to show you guys. I know it's not necessarily the stick work I do, but I think it's a super effective skill move that not enough people do. It's a skill move I used at the beginning of the year and still do use occasionally, because I really just like how it looks, and how it feels, and how you can get CPU defenders with it. The next part of this, okay, so this is now, we're going to start like going down and breaking down how I personally get sticky. And it's understanding one cut and what you can and can't do with one cut. So, alright, so as many of you guys know, the one cut was added to this year, which is new from last year's Madden. And understanding how to use one cut and actually manipulate it to your advantage is huge for real player motion. So as you can see, Fournette's in the backfield. I'm just going to show you guys. So you guys know the simple one cut that way, back the other way. Little stuff like this. It's not sticky or anything, but it's just how you one cut. Advertised one cutting. It was about how you would have to hit right stick to one cut, which isn't true. You can actually one cut with your left stick if you go at too far of an angle. For example, I'm not going to hold. I'm not touching right stick, right? This is all left stick. I'm going to cut in that way. It's just a slower one cut, right? It's not there we go, the fast one cut that most people want. Go down because he's getting tired. But so typically people like will want to not activate that when doing the stop and go. So okay, going into the stop and go part of this, I'm going to break down what I personally do with angles of my controller. And this is where we're actually going to use the X as a marker here. So we're going to get to the X, right? And we're just going to stop here, right? Stop right, shoot. Let me get back. There we go. Stop right there. That's good. The maximum angle you can cut at one side without activating one cut is 90 degrees. If you go further than 90 degrees, you will activate one cut with your left stick. So for example, I'm going to go to the X. I want to go in a straight line up, so that's 90 degrees to my body position right now. Like this. And I won't activate one cut. And same thing, I'm going to go to the right this time, and I'm going to go at a 90-degree angle without activating one cut. Like that. And then up. I'm not activating one cut this entire time. Right? So it's very slow, it's very clunky, you know, that's not really what you want to do. You want to get it faster type of a thing. So how you get it faster is, so, right, we're at the 35 right here. And now what I'm going to do is when I go left, I'm going to then tap, not hold, but tap right stick into that direction. And you can see speed burst like that. And now I'm going to go upfield, speed burst. And then this way, this way, this way. See how I'm tapping it now? Now you may be wondering, okay, why was your dude actually not going fast the entire time? This is now why I actually wanted to bring in the Madden 18 film. What you want to do in Madden 19 is you never actually want to come to a complete stop. In previous Maddens, you would come to a complete stop, but coming to a complete stop like this is what you never actually want to do this. The real player motion, you actually want to keep some of your momentum going forward or whatever direction it may be while doing it. So for example, here, I want to keep some slight momentum. So I'm not coming to a stop, but I have some momentum as I cut. A little bit of momentum every single time. I'm going to come to a full stop. It's not as fast. See, come to a stop. Not as fast. You want to keep that slightest bit of momentum before you actually go. Alright, so the next part of this video is going to be talking about like why you don't want to be holding turbo. Turbo is not your friend this year. Please understand that turbo and you don't want to actually be holding turbo whatsoever. Turbo and you is just, you guys are not friends this year. You're not friends whatsoever. For example, I'm just going to hold turbo here. Like previous years, just hold turbo. See how it just looks clunky, right? I'm just holding turbo. You do not want to hold turbo this year. And what you want to do is use it when you're running in a straight line. For example, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing I was doing with the X when I was just cutting in a direction. I'm going to run. Alright, so what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to go cut across the 15. So I'm just going to stay on the 15 and then slow down and then shoot right up the field. Well, I'm not going to be holding turbo this entire time. What I'm going to be doing is I'll hold turbo from the start just to get my speed going because I don't really want to be at a jogging pace type of a thing. But once I like need to pick a hole, we're going to let go of turbo. But instead of one cutting, we're going to put my player in a position and go with an angle at our left stick so we don't activate one cut, because you do not want to activate one cut, because when you activate one cut, that's when the CPU defender will actually like stay up with you. If you don't activate one cut, the defender will slow down with you. And I'll show you guys that while I actually break down in-game film type of a thing. So what I'm going to do, come across the 15, we're going to slow down like that. See how I just slowed down enough so I didn't activate one cut because I was at that 90-degree angle, which is the maximum you can do it. For example, let's just say, let's do that same thing, but I'm not going to go at 90 degrees. I'm going to go at like 110. See how I activate one cut? 90 degrees is the maximum you can use for one cut animations. That's why I really think understanding like the angles of your controller that you can use is really vital to you. So as I said, your player position cannot cut in the opposite direction past 90 degrees, because once you do that, regardless if you hit right trigger to activate one cut, it's going to activate with your left stick because that's the maximum distance your left stick can activate one cut. See, it's going to be the same thing here. I'm just going to keep running and we're going to slow down that way. See, maximum angle that we can do. Alright, so one of my favorite moves to do with this is to like the fake inside and then re-accelerate out to the outside. So as you guys can see here with Andre Roberts. Oh, okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go like a little pop and then out like that. So I'm never actually activating one cut, right? Because I'm not going past that 90-degree angle. But I'm essentially, it's just like a speed burst into the other direction, because since I don't activate one cut type of a thing. So as you guys can see, though, in, out, in, out, in, out type of a thing. And then you just... essentially over time I just got really good at this, so I can do it basically instantly now. What I can show you guys what I'm doing with my controller while I do this. So the first thing that I do, so I'm just running in a straight line, right? I tap, again, tapping RT is a big part of the stop and go this year. So I tap to go in this direction, right? But then I tap to go the other way super fast. So tap, 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 like this. Tap, tap. Because I never actually want to like fully utilize one cut. But by doing this, as you guys will see later, it like manipulates the computer into going with me. So let me show you guys this one more time. I'll do it the other way now. So as I said, we have momentum, right? So we can do this stop and go. Stop that way. Stop that way. but I'm never activating one cut is the thing. And I can go to the, as you guys know, so the max angle like that. So that's the maximum angle I can get. So what I'm doing is I'm not using one cut, and that's one of the biggest things that you guys want to understand. All I'm doing is tapping right stick, so I get that little like speed acceleration type of a thing, like that really like fast like pop pop type of a thing. Here it is again. So pop 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 type of a thing, and then as you guys get better at it, you're just going to get faster and faster at it to the point where it's basically simultaneously. I'm trying to slow it down for you guys so you guys can understand it a little bit more, but as you guys can see, it's just pop pop, and then as your maximum angle, as I said, so you can actually go all the way that way without activating one cut. But alright, so the next part of this video is going to be talking about like the understanding the cooldown times of players, and you may be wondering like what this is, but I think this is a huge like aspect of Madden 19 and the stop and go, is understanding how long you have to do like a stop and go before your players like come to a full stop, because as I said, you actually want to keep some momentum. So for example, I'm going to show you guys it with each different player here. So I'm going to show you with Fournette. So if I know if Fournette's running at full speed, I'm going to stop at the 30 here. He doesn't actually end up stopping until I get to around the 25, 24 and a half, I want to say. That's at full speed. But let's say I know Fournette's not at full speed, right? He's on a jog. I'm going to stop at the 50 here. He stops on a dime type of a thing. In Madden last year, no matter when you took your right stick or the right turbo off, he would come to an immediate stop. Why this is so big for understanding is because this year you want to keep your momentum while you do the stop and go. So I know when I do a stop and go, I have a certain amount of time before like I have to accelerate like that type of a thing. So I know I have around the 3 to 4 yard mark. I want to be able to start re-accelerating or tapping RT to regain my acceleration. But you guys have to remember, it's just a tap. Like, I'm not holding it. It's a tap. And then once I feel like I have an angle on a player, that's when I start holding it down. For example, and each player's de-acceleration is different. So for Fournette, Parker, Roberts, and Jones, it's all going to be fairly similar, fairly similar body types type of a thing. Fournette's a bit bigger, but it's all like the same thing for running backs, wide receivers type of thing. But let's say like, for example, like Vernon Davis, understanding his cooldown time is going to be totally different just because of the body shape he is. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take it off at the 30. Notice how he comes to a slower stop. So I know when I'm with Vernon Davis, I have about a 2 to 3 yards radius before I have to tap RT to re-accelerate type of a thing. But I know with any of these other players, for example, we'll do it with all of them. So with Parker here, we'll stop at the 35 here. Same thing. It's about the same as Fournette, right? Type of a thing. And it's fairly similar, as I said, for most wide receivers. There's very slight differences at most. Here we go again. We'll stop at the 35 again. Again, same thing, fairly similar type of a thing. But I know with Vernon Davis now, I have like a 2 to 3 yards radius to do it. We'll test it out with Julio Jones here. There you go. We'll stop at the 20 here. Again, same thing, all about 5 yards. So I know if a player is running at full speed, that's a wide receiver, that's a running back, I have about a 5 yard radius before I have to tap it to start re-accelerating my speed. So we'll do it with him again. So I'll do a stop and go here at the 20 here. I know I have 5 yards, and then we re-accelerate. No, I have 5 yards, re-accelerate. Alright, so another thing I should talk about is, let's say your player is not at full speed, because as I said, you don't really want to hold down turbo this year. Just because of you really don't have that much of your control of your player while you hold down turbo. So I'm going to throw it to him. So let's say I'm not at full speed. Let's say like I'm on a jog, I'm not holding turbo. When I let go, that time range like really collapses down into a 1 yard radius. So I know I don't have much time before I can start like re-accelerating again. So let's do it. So for example, I'm going to do a stop and go here with Jones. but I'm not gonna hold turbo at any of the time. But I know my like time frame is like so like less because of that, like the cooldown time. So when you guys are doing like the stop and goes type of a thing, the things to know is that you can't go past a 90-degree angle on your left stick, or else you will activate one cut. And knowing the cooldown of your players, it's around like 5.5 yards to 6 yards for most receivers. Every once in a while, like if you got a real speed demon, like a 99 speed guy, it will be around a 6.5, 7 yard cooldown time. And then no, if you are at a like jogging pace, you probably have a maximum of like a 2 to 3 type of a cooldown time before your player comes to a full stop. And then so you really want to like activate it faster than most times when you're at a jogging speed. Alright, so for a lot of you guys, this part of like the more advanced tutorial may have been difficult, I want to say, for you guys to understand. So what I will show you guys here is the basics of it, I want to say. So let's just say you're not really like getting the hang of like this whole stop and pop thing. Like let's just say that's just not for you. What you then want to do is, so let's just say you guys are like struggling with that. What you guys can do, and this does work against CPU, or excuse me, against user defenders only. This will only work against user defenders. Is literally just not hold turbo. Because you have full control of your player, you know? I'm not going past that 90 degrees, so I'm not activating one cut like this. But what I'm doing is I'm keeping it very confined, you know? Maybe like 45 degrees both ways, so I'm not activating one cut. So let's just say like I'm going up against a user defender right now. So I'm one-on-one in the open field. You can just not hold turbo but have full control, and then when you think you have the angle, just hold it like that and you'll be able to get by him. So that's like the very basic way how to do this for anybody that didn't really understand it. Here we go again. Just same thing. I'm not going to hold turbo, because when I start holding turbo is when I get this like weird swerving thing. But here, this looks smooth, right? This looks a lot smoother. I just activated one cut there. But you guys get the point of it. So if you see a user defender, that's definitely the most simplest way to do it. Just not even hold anything, but just this little swerve type of a thing. And that's actually what you want to do for running in between the tackles type of a thing. So I'm actually going to show you guys some like actual footage now. Go to normal gameplay. Alright, so as you guys can see, so I'm in quarter. The defense is in quarters right now. I do just want to make this simple as possible so you guys can see. But notice how I'm not holding turbo until I find that lane to get through. So I'm waiting, sort of like Le'Veon Bell-esque type of a thing, waiting to pick my hole and then attacking it. So as you can see, waiting, I see a hole over here, and now I'm holding turbo type of a thing. That's understanding why turbo like isn't really your friend this year. So here we go. I see a hole there. Little things like that. And that's going to help you with your just real player motion and your run stick in general. Just not holding turbo, being patient for that lane. I don't know how the D tackle just shedded there. But you guys, I think, will understand this. So here we go. Find the hole right there. Get through. Type of thing. Of course, it's going to be harder to do against like 4-down linemen, sets like that. But yeah. Actually, let me show you that. So let's say I'm against like a heavy front right now. So let's say they have 4D linemen. Very popular formation right now, I think, is big nickel. So I'll just go to big nickel. I don't like that much. Alright, shouldn't. There you go. So for example here, I'm going to wait and pick my hole here. So I can see a hole back there. Just go through it. Type of a thing. And then if you want to get like, this is the one thing though, if you want to get to the outside, so let's say you're not really seeing a hole in the middle, so I don't see a hole there and I just want to get outside, that's when you should hold turbo, when you do want to be at full speed, and getting around the edge is like typically when you want to be holding turbo type of a thing. But yeah, that's what I'd say you want to do. Alright, now, okay, this is going to be probably the most critical part of the video, and this is how I actually manipulate the computer. Let me flip sides here. This is how I actually manipulate the computer when I do my stop and goes type of a thing. Alright, so I think this is the most crucial part of the video right now, and that's how my stop and go will manipulate the CPU. Alright, so I just want to break down this clip for you guys right here. I wasn't talking while I was doing it. I was just trying to get it down with a different player. But as you guys can see, notice when I slow down here, how everybody just slows down with me, type of a thing. So notice how the CPU defender, his pursuit angle, right? I'm one-on-one with him right now. No, there's no user here. This is just one-on-one. Notice how he's essentially confused because what I'm doing right here is I'm going at an angle where he thinks I'm going to one cut, but I actually just turn the edge. So what I'm doing here is with my right stick is I'm going straight up. So imagine that my right stick is going straight up the hash marks and the CPU defender thinks I'm going to go up that way. But when I change directions that way, that's what glitches the computer out right here. So as I said, I'm going up to that full straight up the field, and then I'm going at a 90-degree angle towards the sideline because you can't go past a 90-degree angle, as you can see there. But yeah, I'll try to get a couple more clips of that so I can show you guys. Alright, so same thing here. I just want to break this clip down for you guys too. It's kind of hard doing this in practice mode. Sometimes you won't get one-on-ones with the computers as much as you would like to. Notice, okay, so there's two CPU defenders here, right? I know if I do that little glitch, so if I go to basically a full 90-degree angle, and then if I cut back outside, they're going to slow down with me. So as you guys can see, they'll slow down there for a second, and then that's when you re-accelerate. I didn't have the space to get the edge here, but this is one of the better ones or clips I've been able to have against the CPU defender. So as you guys can see, what I'm doing is I'm going basically, this is all with the right stick and this is all with the right turbo and left stick. So what I'm doing here is I'm holding turbo. Now I let go of turbo because there's a CPU defender right there and I want to have full control of my player. So I let go. I act like I'm going inside by going to that 90-degree angle comparative to the player. And then I'm re-accelerating back outside. Like that. So 90-degree angle up the field. And then I probably take around a 45-degree angle to regain the edge. I'll show you guys this one more time. Here. Alright, so I got another clip. Here you go. Let me get it here. Alright, so as you can see, so I'm holding turbo. As you can see, I'm doing that same thing again. So it's using that right stick basically to a 90-degree angle comparative to my player. And then I'm going right back the other way. That's the most effective way I have found to use it. And I can actually show you guys a different way about how I stop and go against the CPU and how it slows down with me. Alright, this is another way just to show you guys how the computer will slow down with you. So as you can see here, so I want to be at max speed right here, so holding turbo. But right here, so I'm worried I'm going to get caught here by number, what is he, 92. So what I'll do is I'll slow down because he then thinks he's going to be in tackle radius. And then I'll start re-accelerating so I get out of it because he's going to slow down with me because he thinks he's about to make a tackle. So as you can see, he thinks he's about to make a tackle. And right when I see that is when I re-accelerate here. Let me go from this angle. So look, max speed. I let go of turbo there. I know I have about a 3-ish radius of my cooldown speed before I have to tap RT to re-accelerate. As you can see, and then I actually end up doing it faster just because I'm worried he's so close to me at 2 yards, and then that's when I re-accelerate. So this is how I manipulate the CPU type of a thing, and that was literally just letting go of right stick and then going right back up the field. That wasn't any of the glitchy sideways type of a stuff. See if I can get one more clip for you guys. That wasn't a bad clip. I can break down this clip for you guys too. It's like exactly the same type of concepts that I'm using. This is easiest to do against CPU defenders. Of course, if you're up against a user, this will change vastly. Typically, depending on where the user's angle is going to take, you typically want to go to the inside more often than not. But if you're up against the CPU defender, that's when you want to go to the outside typically, because it's easier to get the edge. So as you can see here, I'm basically surrounded here. I slow down, and then they sort of take bad pursuit angles. See what I mean? They take a bad pursuit angle, and then I'm able to regain the edge here. And then so this right here, this is me knowing my cooldown speed. So I know when I stop there, because I'm not really at a fast pace right here. I have probably a 1 to 2 yard radius before I have to tap RT. Remember, it's not a hold, but it's a tap to then go back upfield. But then once I'm re-accelerating upfield is when I hold it again. So now I'm holding turbo. Because right there, like I know like I'm going to probably have to spin here or something like that to try to get out of the situation. Alright, so at the end of this, I just wanted to break down to you guys like little basic practices you can do to get better at this. Alright, so I just wanted to, at the end of this video, show you guys like the little basic practice tips you can do to get better at this. So as I said earlier in the video, one of my favorite things to do is this. Just go to the X and try like stopping on the X, stopping on the next line. And that's just really understanding cooldown speed type of thing. So let's say I'm at full speed and I want to stop exactly at the 20 type of a thing. Let's say I want to stop exactly at that white line. So I was a bit off there. But that's one of my favorite things to do, is because that helps you understand cooldown speed type of a thing. Another big thing that you guys may want to practice while getting better at this is actually running your plays. For example, let's just say this is one of my play setups, for example. So I know I have Julio on an in, Parker on an out, and then I have Fournette there, and Roberts there. So I'm just going to throw this in route and then just practice like getting sticky with him. I like certain so what I'm trying to do here is just getting used to every single angle on the position like each player can be at. So I'm just going to practice with Parker here. Let's say I highball it, stop, go type of a thing. So that's another way you guys can practice it. And then for the basic practice of it, so like the beginner practice of it, what I recommend to do is literally this. It sounds super basic, but just literally go in between the numbers, but try to not activate one cut so you get that smooth running motion. Because if you go too sharp, you're gonna one cut, right? And then you lose all control with your player. So those are the 3 basic ways that I would personally try to practice with it. But yeah, I hope this video helps you guys. If you guys have any questions, don't be afraid to DM me on Twitter. It's just Dcroft with 5 T's. But yeah, don't be afraid to DM me. Send me clips of you guys doing it. I can try to break it down and help you guys out type of a thing. As much as I can. I really hope this video was helpful for you guys. I tried to break down stop and goes from last year to this year, and then how to break your bad habits of last year and how to understand the basics of it. I tried to help you guys understand, like, I feel like everything you could do while having the ball in your hand, whether it be like skill moves, whether it be one cut, whether it be the basics of the stickiness. And what I'm hoping for is that a lot of you guys can start getting to like the more advanced elite level type of a stick. But don't be afraid to send me a text or send me a DM on Twitter. But yeah, thanks for everybody watching. Thanks for everybody that bought this. See you guys later, and make sure you go follow my Twitch and Twitter, both Dcroft with 5 T's. But yeah, see you guys.